my name is Jessica. I am a third-year student at Western University. I'm currently pursuing a bachelor's degree in management and organizational studies with a specialization in management and legal studies. So to tell you a little bit about how the program sort of works is you apply for BMOS, which is the Bachelor of Management and Organizational Studies, and then you can specialize in different fields. For example, I came in first year thinking that I was going to specialize in finance and sort of go on to do my CFA, but I quickly realized that I am a lot more interested in the legal aspect of corporate business, and so I switched into management and legal studies. I thought I was gonna go to Ryerson or Schulich or any of the other schools, and I got accepted into them and I got good grants for it, but last minute something came over me and I chose Western University. The reason I applied to Western in the first place was because of Ivy Business School, but as I sort of progressed in my academic career, I realized that Ivy wasn't necessarily the path for me, just because it is a lot heavier focused on finance and numbers, and I wanted a more law-based approach. So Western University takes, or at least BMOS, we take a mixed way of studying. So we take theory-based and we do analysis-based. Case-based. Theory-based is a lot of the things you'll read in the textbook, a lot of the things you'll learn in lecture, where it's just theory. It's really understanding what the math is behind everything, what the process is behind every single action that a business person takes in their career. Whereas practice questions and office hours, and I guess through lecture as well, we do focus a little bit more on case-based, where we read a case from the real world. So for example, one of the classes we had, we would read a case of an actual business and we would have to analyze it based on the problem that that business is facing. This sort of mixed approach is really beneficial because not only do you understand the backbone of, I guess, the science of business, but you also really understand how to identify problems and apply your knowledge to those problems, so that when you're back in the workplace, or I guess when you're entering the workplace, you have a much better understanding and a much better eye for catching those things and knowing how to deal with them. We are definitely a more fast-paced university. Profs really value you being on top of your things, making sure that you're really getting the material out there, and you're working at a fast-paced in a fast-paced environment, just as you would be in the real world. So some classes will have 3 exams, and that's sort of your only evaluation. Some classes will have a few exams and then an assignment to kind of balance it out. The reason they do this is because a lot of professors for the harder classes like corporate finance, other accounting-based exams, they understand that it is a little bit harder material and it is a little bit trickier to excel during those exams. So they want to provide students with an opportunity to sort of boost their grades before they assign a final one, and that is in the form of assignments usually. You definitely need to be critical, you need to be analytical, you need to be logical, and you need to have excellent time management. I will get to that in a little bit later, but making sure that you get to the nitty-gritty details of every case, of every concept, is key to success in BMOS. Definitely pay attention, definitely don't skip class, and definitely don't think that you're smarter than the course material. One of my biggest mistakes going into my first year was thinking that, this material looks so familiar from grade 12 econ or grade 12 calculus, and I was like, you know what, I don't need it, I don't need to study, I can just show up to the exam. And that's how I managed to nearly fail my first year of university. I definitely would not recommend that approach. What professors teach you in class is how to approach the exam rather than the actual material itself necessarily. So they do teach you the material, but through their teachings you'll understand how they think, and therefore you'll be able to apply that onto your exam because you understand what the professor wants from you rather than what the textbook says. And do not book yourself for early classes if you know you're not going to wake up to them. That was also a big mistake. You're going to hear this a lot throughout your career at Western, but there is no one set way to study, whether that be from person to person, from class to class, from material to material. You just have to sort of play around with it and figure out what works for you, because 90% of the time you will need different approaches and different tactics to tackle different course material. I cannot possibly use the same approach I used to study for my accounting midterms as I did for political science, because the way the exam is structured, it's different. The way, the things you need to know how to approach are different. Western prides themselves, especially BMOS prides themselves on producing very well-rounded, very educated students. So what that means is, if I, for example, choose finance as my mainstream and my specialization, I'm not just going to have financial courses. I'm going to have everything from HR, ops, marketing, accounting, finance, sociology, psychology, poli-sci, everything. They want to make sure that you understand how those basic fundamental financial principles are tied into the rest of the world and the rest of the operations of a business. Same thing with my program, management and legal studies. There's some legal courses that you have to take, but there's also a lot of finance based. Like this semester alone, I'm in an econ and 2 finance courses, and that's not necessarily within management and legal, right? I would definitely recommend this program to students that are more or less already passionate about business, because it is very business heavy. That's not to say that they won't necessarily start from the beginning and try to make sure that you really understand the roots of business, but being passionate about the field that you're going into is definitely a plus. So I would definitely recommend talking to your guidance counselor, but don't just limit yourself to your guidance counselor. Definitely reach out to people that you know in the university. You are more than welcome to reach out to me as well, and sort of try to understand what you're kind of getting into, because it's very easy to choose something that you think sounds like what you like, but it ends up being not that at all. I believe for Western's BMOS, we have to have an English credit and 2 out of the 3 math classes. I believe they all have to be 12U grade. So the options for math is calculus, data management, and advanced functions, I believe. You have to make sure you're doing great in those, and then an above 80, a high 80s average for the other 6 courses. In the written portion and the extracurricular section, they definitely want to make sure that you're very involved, that your involvement is diverse. So it's not just one club or one strand of clubs, it's diverse. You're showing leadership skills, you're showing strong communication skills. If you want a scholarship at Western University, you definitely need to make sure your grades are high. I believe anything above 95% gives you a $10,000 scholarship. Between 90 and 94 is a $2,000 scholarship, and 85 to 90 is a $1,000 scholarship. There are other options, but you would have to look into them separately. In terms of high school courses, I definitely benefit from my philosophy, my political science, and my writer's craft classes. So philosophy has taught me a lot of names that I still use and I still see come up in lecture to this day. In terms of writer's craft, it definitely taught me that different writing styles are appropriate for different things. So if I was writing an essay that's a research paper, or versus I was writing, a report for business class, they're going to be completely different tones, and you have to learn how to switch back and forth between the tones. So for university courses, something you will definitely come across is people saying, oh, like this is such a bird course, you should take it because it's a bird course. I completely do not believe in bird courses. I think that they are very subjective and they vary from person to person. I don't think you should, for example, if one person says that a computer science course is very, very easy and you should take it and it's just going to be a bird, you'll get an easy 90. If you're not good at computer science, you are not going to get a 9. So be careful of those bird courses and make sure to do your own research. Know what your strengths are, know what your weaknesses are, and choose accordingly. Or if you're just interested in a class, take it. Literally just take it. It's going to be a good experience. You're going to learn stuff. You're going to make connections between that course and your own program and your own life, and it's going to benefit you no matter what. For course registration, certain groups are allowed to take certain courses. So as someone in management and legal studies, I have first access or first dibs to all the legal courses. So my registration for those classes opens up to me first before it applies to any sociology students, any medical science students, any health science students, or any engineers, just because it is a mandatory requirement for my degree. What I would suggest is just making sure you're on that course registration website the second it opens, and just have them pre-downloaded onto your computer and just click submit, so that you really make sure you get your first choice. In terms of spreading them out, I was a little bit of a fool in first year, and I thought that I would pick classes for every single day of the week to sort of stay on top of things. That might not work for you. University is a lot harder than high school, so you do get a lot more exhausted a lot faster. I would definitely recommend spreading it out in a way that you can manage your schedule. So what I did in second semester and what I did in second year and third year is I'll have my classes on, for example, Tuesday or Thursday, or Mondays, Wednesdays, have the entire day of just classes, lectures, whatever it is, and have the other 2 days to study, network, reach out to people, and do my own thing. You graduate with a specialization in finance, it does not mean that you have to and you're bound to finance. Because you have had so much experience with marketing classes, HR classes, even sociology, whatever it may be, you have opportunity to go into any field you really want within business and pursue any sort of master's degrees, any professional grad schools, anything like that. In terms of internships, we do have opportunity for students to take a year off between third and fourth to pursue an internship. The reason we have that is to help people build connections in the real world, so that when they come out of university, they sort of already have an in the field. Professors will definitely help you. Guidance counselors will definitely be more than happy to help you find placements that are better for you, prep you for those interviews, prep you with your resume, cover letter, give you any sort of support you need in order to excel in that field. Recruitment processes start and they don't end. They're always going. It really depends where you're getting into. For example, I have a friend that got into Bell. I have friends that have gotten into Google, Uber, different places, and all of the different areas that they got into. So finance, computer science, consulting, investment banking, their sort of recruitment process was at different times. It's usually a 3-month process, I believe. Definitely, I recommend living on residence. It will make you form some of the best connections you've ever formed, and it will, memories that last you for a lifetime for sure. Which residence do I recommend? I'm gonna be extremely biased here, and I'm gonna go with Ontario Hall. There is absolutely no better residence on campus. Anyone can argue with me and I'll happily debate them, but Ontario Hall is the place for you. It is very classy, it is very bougie, but it also is low-key like a party residence. Soggy thinks they are, but Ontario Hall definitely takes the win. It's quiet when it needs to be, but it's party time when it needs to be as well. So again, Ontario Hall, nowhere else. It's Western University. There's definitely a party culture. The thing though with Western that I've noticed is, yes, there is the stereotype of like, oh, Western, we're a party city. We're not. Like, we party hard and we party a lot, but we definitely know how to balance work and play. There's never any pressure to go out. There's never any pressure to do one event or not the other event. It's very much balanced. You're able to get your work done, and once you've finished your work, you know that you can go out. We absolutely pride ourselves on how well we are able to integrate students into our school. One of our biggest prides and joys is the orientation program for first-year students. What that is when first-year students first come to campus, we have a whole week just dedicated to them. There's no other people on campus. The university is really their oyster, and they get to explore and do things at their own pace. We also provide every single day. They have different events for them. For example, one day we always have a concert, and we have some of the biggest stars like Loud Luxury, Lil Uzi. We've had a lot of different artists perform. We had Jessie Reyes. That was my year. That was a crazy year. And then we have carnival set up. Like, we'll have a whole Ferris wheel, everything, the works. And we, at this point, we also have a few upper years coming in to really guide these students through the university experience, show them the little places around campus, guide them around, show them where their classes are, things like that, help them get settled in before everybody else joins in. These people are called your softs, and they will live with you in residence on your floor most likely, and they will be there for you throughout the entire year. What areas of the campus are popular to go to? Oh, one of my favorites is the Spoke. It has our famous bagels, but I don't actually like the bagels. It's the chicken fingers and the fries that I absolutely love. It's sort of a bar style, so at night we do have drinks served there. It is a bar, it's a sports bar kind of, but during the day it's just like a cafeteria, and it's wonderful, and it's the best thing you'll ever have. What clubs do I suggest getting involved in? Every single one that you want. Think of a club, I bet you we have it. And if we don't, it is easy, so easy to start your own club. I completely did not take advantage of this in first year, and I definitely should have. Being part of clubs, you get to meet so many different cool people, you get to make so many connections in the real world, and definitely I recommend doing it. Ever since I was in first year, we've had a lot of petitions, and we have a lot of movements that try to better promote and better encourage diversity on campus. We have a lot of amazing groups fighting for equality on campus, and they're definitely strong, and they're very definitely out there. The group that I can't speak on behalf of is the females. So again, since first year on university, I've noticed a lot of clubs that are empowering women and are making sure that women are at the are getting equal opportunities. And I'm actually a part of a lot of those mentorship programs and a lot of the clubs at Western that are dedicated specifically to women and are specifically for women. So that's really great. I think Western is definitely making an effort to be a more inclusive school. We do have a lot of international students coming from all around the world. I've met people from different parts of Asia. I've met people from different parts of Europe, South Africa, Americas. It's insane. We have people from all around the world. Some of my close friends are currently in Vancouver. Some of my friends are currently in Saskatchewan. You really make a worldly connection through Western. Western is very conscious and very aware of mental health, and they do have a lot of wonderful programs on campus to support students that are struggling, whether it be financially, whether it be physically or mentally, emotionally, whatever it is. We do have a very great support system for that. I'm personally a part of a lot of different clubs that promote mental health, and I think that the outreach that we've been doing and the people that we've been able to reach and help is absolutely wonderful. And I think that the more we progress as a university, the more we progress as these clubs, the stronger we will get. The actual student council and the actual school council, they provide a lot of resources such as guidance counselors and free access to mental health and free access to psychologists that are willing to sit down and talk with you. Professors are also very good at making themselves available to you as a student, whether it be problems at home, whether it be problems with your schoolwork, whatever it is, and maybe you just need to literally walk into somebody's office hour and just sit there in silence. I've done it before. I've walked into my professor's office hours. He was a business professor, and I just sat there with him, and he said, okay, let's talk this through. They've been very good at, making sure that assignments are being pushed back if they need to be, and they're just there to really help you. Financially speaking, definitely apply to as many scholarships and grants and financial aids that you possibly can. Western has this website where it's just like over 100 pages of different scholarships and awards you can apply to. Just sit there and apply to all of them, because odds are most of them nobody knows about, and most of them nobody has the patience to apply to. So even if you're not necessarily eligible, you're the only one that applied, so Western will give it to you. In terms of mental health tips, find an organization system that works for you. If you have a friend who has one sort of system going and it seems to be working great for you, but it doesn't seem to necessarily fit your lifestyle, that is fine. Do not follow other people. You are not the same as another person. You have different needs, and you have to figure out your own rhythm. You have to listen to yourself and what you really need. Don't get discouraged if things don't work out, or if it takes you just a little bit longer than your peers to figure it out. It took me a while. So definitely stay focused, stay on top of your work, do not fall behind, because the second you fall behind on an assignment, it's gonna get tough and it's only gonna get harder after that. To conclude, it was very, very lovely to speak with you guys today. If you want to reach out at any point, you are very more than welcome to. I will happy to answer any questions you guys have. If you do choose Western Ontario, I will hopefully see you on campus next year. If you do see me, definitely stop and definitely say hi. But other than that, I wish you guys luck in your recruitment process. Bye.